Now, everybody get yourself a notepad, get yourself a pen, be ready to take some good notes today. Okay, because we're going to cover a lot of material, but let me just qualify this call right up front. If you don't think that it's possible for you to do 100 deals, you're wasting your time on this call anyway. Okay. If you don't think it's possible for you to do it, hang up and go spend your time somewhere else. Because if you don't believe in yourself, it's unanimous. You've got to believe it. That's step one. You've got to believe it's possible. Okay. Now, so let's go ahead and let's jump in. First thing I want to make really, really clear. Okay. Gonzalo, I want to make this real clear. It's not about doing 100 deals. Okay. It's not about doing 100 deals, because if you did 100 deals on a desert island, what difference does it make? You know, you can't, what are you going to spend the money on? No, no, no. It's not about the 100. It's about what the 100 will do for you. So most of us, if we look at the average sales price across the United States and the average commission that a real estate agent's earning now, it's about $10,000. Some of you are more, some of you are less, but say about $10,000. So if you do 100 deals, that's $1 million a year in income. So what you've got to determine is, what does $1 million look like for you? And it's going to look different for different people, but you got to get really clear on it. Man, I know over the years, one of the things that I think about a lot, you know, those of you that don't know me, don't know I have 7 children. Okay. I have 7 kids, and I constantly think about Christmas morning. Okay. What kind of Christmas do I want to provide for my children on Christmas morning? You know, one of the things that I do year round is I listen to Christmas music. You know why? Because you can't, try this. You can't listen to Christmas music and feel bad. It's impossible. If you listen to Christmas music and feel bad, go get therapy. Okay. Because there's something wrong with you. So that's one of the things I think about is, hey, I would average in my, when I was in full-time production, I would average doing about 150 transactions a year. Okay. My best year was 215. And I think about Christmas morning. I think about the vacations I want to go on. I think about the cars I want to drive. I think about the restaurants that I enjoy going to and eating at, and the hotels that I can stay at, you know, just whatever. I love to think about those things. So that's the first thing you guys have got to understand, is if you don't have a clear picture in your mind for what doing 100 transactions will do to you and what kind of lifestyle it's going to create for you, you stand zero chance of doing it. Okay, so let's dig in further. Let's dig in further. For those of you that have watched some of my videos, and I've got a whole series of videos on Instagram right now, by the way, it's about 12 or 13 of them on how to do 100 deals. They're going to expand on this call today. So you guys jump on Instagram and you can check those out. So doing 100 deals, Kyle Lee, listen to me, my friend. This guy's a rock star, by the way.
What's going on?
We're going to feature Kyle here soon. He's going to shock you guys. So Kyle, you've heard me say 100 deals is easier than 25 deals.
Correct.
It's easier, guys. Let that sink in. It's easier. Why is it easier, Gordon? Here's why it's easier. Because when you're only doing 25 deals, and hey, for those of you that are doing it, no offense, but I mean, if you want to know the truth, if I'm just being blatantly honest, you're not going to get my respect and get me to say you are a top producer until you're doing 100 deals or more. That's the threshold in my mind. You got to get over 100. Okay. 2025, you are stopping and starting. Okay. You're not consistent. To do 25 deals, you're on, you're off, you're stopping, you're starting, you're up, you're down, you're erratic. Man, being erratic is way, way harder. Imagine driving your car from point A to point B, and every mile you stopped and then started up again, drove another mile, stopped, started up again. A, it's going to take you way longer to get there. And B, your fuel economy is going to be way less. It's going to make your car work a lot harder than getting that thing started and go. When you're doing 100 transactions a year, guys, then you're up and you're going. You're actually working a job where you're working. Okay, listen, there's a difference in being at work and working. Just because you're at work doesn't mean you're working. Somebody who's doing 100 deals a year, when they're working, they're working. My average week, I would work a 4.5 day week. When I was doing 200 transactions a year, I was working 4.5 days a week. I did not work on the weekends, and I typically worked a half a day on Friday. And I was off the rest of the time. So I'll tell you more about how to do that in a moment. Because for those of you that are thinking, well, listen, Gordon, doing 100 deals a year sounds pretty cool, but I don't want to work that hard. I have a wife and children I want to see. Well, come on, so do I. So do I. If you are creating self-limiting beliefs in your head right now, stop it. Stop it. Get out of the freaking way. You can sell 100 homes a year and have a great life and have balance. You truly can. You just got to get more consistent. What does your routine look like up until noon? Somebody who's doing 100 deals a year has got a solid and consistent routine. I'm going to tell you, most of the people that are doing that level of production, and guys, I've coached hundreds of them. Okay. I'm on a mission right now to help the people I'm coaching to get over 100 deals. So Damon, you should be really excited by this call. Okay. Because you're one of them. Okay. I am totally motivated to help people get over 100 deals. You got to get it in your head. So number one, people that are doing 100 deals a year, they're going to be up typically at 5 o'clock in the morning. That's an average time. No, am I saying you have to? No, but that's the average time that they wake up, because part of doing that level of production is also physical. You got to have the energy. You got to have the mental clarity, the focus, the drive. So it helps if your body is in good physical condition. Are you eating healthy? Are you exercising? Okay. Those people that are getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, they're typically at the gym, they're exercising, they're getting themselves ready to go. Up until noon, everything you're doing up until noon is all designed to support your booking yourself on appointments. Everything is designed to do that. So you're exercising, you're going over your goals and your affirmations, you're getting yourself prepared. One of the things that I teach all of my team, and I'm just going to give this to you guys real briefly, and most of you that have been around me have heard me talk about this before, because I'm a big believer in the 4-step morning checklist. Okay, because one of the things that's going to get in the way, Kyle, listen to me on this, my friend. One of the things that's going to get in the way, okay, is your mind. Is your mind. You're going to start to tell yourself, I'm so busy. I'm so busy. I got so much going on. I'm getting overwhelmed. Okay, the 4-step morning checklist is an exercise you go through before you start prospecting that is designed to clear your head and open up your mind so that you allow yourself to book more appointments. Because listen, when you start to have that feeling of being out of control, it's kind of like driving a car on ice. Hey, Michael Slackish, how are you, buddy? Good to see you. It's kind of like driving your car on ice. Okay, where all of a sudden you hit a slick spot and the back end starts to come around. And your first thought is probably, let's floor it. Pedal to the metal, man. Let's get even more out of control. No. Whenever you start to feel out of control, here I'm banging on my desk and knocking my light fixtures all around. All right. So whenever you start to feel out of control, you immediately want to let up on the gas. You want to slow down. That is not what we want to do. Because listen, guys, if you are not feeling somewhat out of control, If you're not feeling a certain level of anxiety, hear me on this. If you are not feeling that to some degree, you're not growing, because that's what growth feels like. When you go into the gym and you lift those weights, how do your muscles feel the next day? If they're not sore, you didn't lift very hard. Okay. You guys should feel somewhat out of control. So the 4-step morning checklist, you're simply reviewing your active listings. Number one, your active listings, your pending sales, your leads, and your appointments. Again, active listings, just taking an overview. You're not digging deep into the files, just an overview. What do I need to do with my active listings? Is there anything that needs to be done? Pending sales, anything I need to be aware of or on top of there? Leads, what leads do I have that need to be followed up on today? And appointments, what appointments do I have and what do I need to do to make sure that I'm fully prepared for those? So once you go through those 4 steps, you're going to jot down anything that comes to mind that needs to be taken care of. Once you're finished with this assignment, then you're going to delegate the things you can delegate, and the things that you need to do personally, you're going to take a look on your schedule. You're going to see what openings you have in the day, and you're going to pencil them in your schedule as to when you're going to get them done. You put them in the schedule. Now you're ready to start prospecting. And so when that little voice starts to tell you, hey, slow down, man, you're going too fast. We're getting too much going. You got to take care of what you've got. You're getting out of control. The rear end starting to come around. You can shut that voice up and say, no, I'm on top of it. Because if you're on top of your active listings, pending sales, leads, and appointments, you're on top of it. So you're freeing yourself up to move forward. Okay. So we have got to get a routine. I can assure you, if you're doing 20, 25, 30 transactions a year, you are not working a consistent morning routine. Don't even try to convince me you are. Because listen, there's a lot of bullshit artists out there that like to look like they're working when they're really not working. And you know you're not working. You're just looking like you're working. You're doing the same thing over and over again. Okay. We call it motion versus accomplishment or creative avoidance. There's no way that you can be working full time and just do 20, 25, 30 transactions a year. So quit fooling yourself into thinking that you are. You're part time. You know it. I know it. So let's get consistent from the time you get up in the morning until noon. Okay. That looks, every day is a mirror of the previous day. Every day it's a mirror that you're doing exactly the same thing. Even when it comes to your prospecting, guys, when it comes to your prospecting, you need to have what I call a prospecting protocol. That means you have an order, a routine. Every single day you are prospecting in the same order. You're calling the same group of people in the same order, using the same script, dealing with the same objection handlers. It's a routine. It's the same thing. We don't have to think about it. We go to this group, we go to that group, we go to that group. Okay, which is another point on how to do 100. There's a gazillion different ways that you can get business. Bunch of different ways. You've got to decide what your sources of business are going to be. Figure out what your sources are going to be. And then once you do, identify the script that you're going to use. And I'm not going to sit here like some other people in this industry and tell you there's only one script. And if you're not using this script, then you're off. That's not true. There's a bunch of different scripts that work. Because for those of you that are the great salespeople out there, you know it's not the script, it's how you use the script. It's how you use your words. There's a bunch of scripts that work. Okay. But figure out your sources. Identify the script you're going to use. Identify the most common objection handlers. And then you follow that protocol every day, every day, every day, every day. Next point. The real estate industry is changing. Let me tell you, I have done this for 39 years. It is way easier to do 100 deals today than it was 10, 15 years ago. It's easier. I mean, we've got technology in place that we didn't have then. We have auto dialing programs. You know, I used to have what's called a binomial headset. It was a headset that came around top of my head. I had an earpiece and a mouthpiece on the right, an earpiece and a mouthpiece on the left. One cord went to one phone, another cord went to the other phone. I learned to dial with two hands simultaneously using the mute button so that I could conduct two calls simultaneously. I ask a question to this guy on the right. As he's answering my question, I mute him and I unmute the one to the left, and he's answering my question over here. So I'm having two conversations at the same time, and they don't even know it. That's how I used to have to do it. And there's a whole bunch of other people that used to have to do it that way too. Now you have auto dialing programs. Social media. You guys have got to be using social media. Listen, to do 100 deals, you have to recognize that you are your own brand. Write that down. I am my own brand. Now, how do I want people to view my brand? There's this guy in Oklahoma City. I can't even recall his name off the top of my head. But my daughter, who's a loan officer here in town, was telling me about him. And I want you to listen to this because listen, the guy's a genius. And I want to describe what he does. I'm not saying do this, but I want you to get the gist of it. This guy does a video where he's standing in front of a house drinking a soda pop. And there's crazy music going on in the background. And then he has some dialogue rotating across the screen. Different dialogue. He's every video he's drinking a soda pop. It's not just one video, it's like a whole bunch of them drinking a soda pop. And he's got this look, and people like it, maybe because it's crazy. I don't know. But he sells like 10 homes a month off of social media with people following because he's created that brand for himself. People find him entertaining. I don't know, but it works. He's branded himself. You guys should be posting something at least once a day. It's free. And it doesn't even have to be fancy. Just get out there and start posting. Decide what brand you want to be. How do you want people to see you? One of my favorite quotes is from Elon Musk. Elon Musk says, give me 90 days on social media and I can have the world see me however I want them to see me. Okay, so you guys have got to be using social media. You've got to get people to start to associate you. Write this down. They need to associate me with real estate. That's different. That's different than them knowing you're in real estate. That's different. No. Associating you with real estate means, like, for example, if I was to start randomly calling out the names of people that you know, you would associate them with how you know them. That's my classmate. That's the guy that I go to the gym with. That's the person that I go to church with. Because we associate them, and that's how we remember people. Well, when I start calling out your name to people that you know, how do they associate you? If they know you're in real estate, but they don't associate you with real estate, then you're probably not going to get that call when they're ready to move or when they have a referral. Why? Not because they're being, mean. It's not malicious at all. They just don't think of you. And that's your fault. So the next step for people doing 100 deals is they are excellent at building up their database of past clients and centers of influence. They're excellent at doing that. Obviously, you can only create past clients as fast as you make sales. But centers of influence, you can build that center of influence list up. Now, I'm not going to spend a whole heck of a lot of time on this call talking about how to get business from your center of influence. That's another call. But listen, guys, you should be getting at least a 10% return, which means if you've got 100 names, that's 10 deals. If you've got 500 names, that's 50 deals. And guess what? If you have 1,000 names, that's 100 deals. And for those of you that don't think you can get to 1,000, you're not thinking big enough, because you absolutely can. You can. But you've got to learn how to work them. And it's a long-term commitment. You're probably not going to have 1,000 overnight. But if you just added one name per day, and let's just keep it simple and say over a 250-day year, that's 250 names a year. And in 4 years, you've got 1,000. Now, what if it was guaranteed that 4 years from now, you could have 100 transactions a year coming to you by repeat and referral business? If it was guaranteed, how many of you might be interested in that plan? Okay. Hopefully all of you. When are you going to start? Well, Gordon, it's hard. All right. Let's do this. We're going to do getting out my handy dandy calculator here. Okay. So if I can make $1 million off of 100 deals and I have 1,000 people in there, okay, then that means I'm making $1,000 per person. So if I said to you, all right, we're going to come up with a new, Watson Flowers is going to come up with a new plan. We're going to pay you $1,000 for every name you add to your center of influence. Okay. How many people would be adding a name a day or multiple names per day? Some of you can raise both hands and both feet. Of course you would. Because why? Why? Because you would have a heightened level of awareness. Write that down, a heightened level of awareness. Or another way to say it, using Earl Nightingale's famous quote, you get what you're looking for. You get what you're looking for. If you're looking for names and people to add to that center of influence, you're going to find them. And if you'll do it consistently and hold yourself accountable, and I'll tell you, for those of you that are really, really serious about it, find yourself an accountability partner and hold each other accountable to it every day, every week to add those names in 4 years from now. And that's assuming you don't have any now, which everybody does. But 4 years from now, you can easily have 1,000 new names. And as you work them the way that Steve and Cindy and I teach you, you should get a minimum of a 10% return. Again, it's easier today than it used to be 10 years ago with technology. I mean, you should be using social media as one way to stay in front of these people. Social media didn't exist 10 years ago. Let's look at some other ideas. How do we do 100 deals a year? Well, the other thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have a business that is primarily listing based. It's primarily listing based. Okay. Can you do it off of all buyers? Yes, but it's way harder. Buyers take longer. Now, those of you that are newer into the industry, I don't want you thinking, well, gee, I'm just not going to work buyers and only work listings. Most of us that have been doing this for a while have learned that the way that we finance our ability to get listings is through buyers. We start off working a lot of buyers. Those buyers become past clients that have to sell their property, that refer us business, so on and so forth. So most of us are going to have to start off working a higher percentage of buyers, but it won't be long until you can all of a sudden start to swap into a more of a listing-based business. What I'm going to recommend is that we figure your business based on 80-20. 80% listings sold to 20% buyer sales. Now, a very simple way to think about doing 100 deals is to take 100 listings. Write that down. Do 100 deals equals taking 100 listings. Let me explain. Not every listing that you take is going to sell. We know that. Not every listing is going to sell. However, The listings that don't sell will be offset by the buyer transactions you have as a result of having those listings. So the 20% buyer sides are typically going to be your sellers that have to buy once they sell, or they're going to be repeat and referral business that comes off of those sellers. That's primarily the buyers that you're going to be working that's going to make up that 20%. So if you want to do 100 deals, take 100 listings. Okay. Now, the next thing I want you to jot down is you have to, I'm telling you, everybody who's doing a high volume of business is a master at simplification. The master at simplification. I was talking with a client the other day who gave me what I felt like was a very nice compliment. He said, Gordon, he said, you know what I think you're best at? And I'm like, tell me. He said, you're great at making complicated things simple. I thought, wow, that's a great compliment. I want to be known like that. I don't want to be known as the coach that can take something that's complicated and make it simple. Let me give you a couple examples of how we can do that. If you simply look at the business and say, okay, I've got to get 100 listings, one way to look at it is to say, okay, that means I've got to take 10 listings a month. 10 a month. Well, Gordon, 100 divided by 12 is not 10. We're not dividing it by 12 because none of us work a 12-month year. I mean, we may work all 12 months, but we're not working the equivalent of a 12-month year. We're taking time off for vacations and holidays and whatever. Take your business, your listing goal, and divide it by 10. And that's the number you need to work towards every month. So once you set this goal of 100 deals, then we're not really focusing anymore on the 100. We're taking that elephant, if you will, and we're breaking it down into bite-sized pieces. If I take 10 listings a month, I'm going to do 100 deals. Now, here's another way to think about it. Personally, I love to think about it this way. Set one qualified listing appointment a day. Set one qualified listing appointment. Is there anybody on this call that doesn't think that if they had the proper motivation, the proper focus, that they could not set one qualified appointment? Hopefully there's nobody raising their hand. If I was your broker, let's say that you guys are all my salespeople and I'm your broker, and here we are meeting at 7 a.m. All right, guys, I got a challenge for you today. We're going to meet back here at 7 o'clock tonight. And every one of you that has set a qualified listing appointment, I'm going to write you a bonus check for $10,000. I'll meet you back here at 7 o'clock. Which of you are going to, Gordon, I couldn't do it. I couldn't make it happen. Bull. Every one of you, I know I can't see everybody. There's too many people on the call for me to see everybody, but I know that there's not a soul on this call that doesn't think they could do that. Now, listen, if you can do it today, you can do it tomorrow. If you can do it tomorrow, you can do it the next day. The challenge is, and hear me carefully on this, the challenge is you sabotage yourself. You let your head get in the way. If you were to simplify your day the way that you would if I gave you that 7 a.m. challenge, if you were to simplify your day and focus and channel your thought in that direction, you'd be getting it consistently. And guess what, guys? I've already done the math on this, so you can trust my math. One qualified appointment a day is going to lead you to 135 to 150 transactions a year. Just one. So keep it simple. So if you choose to take on this challenge and say, hey, Gordon, I like that way of thinking about it, then this is what I'm going to challenge you to do. And many of you that are coaching with me, we're having this discussion on a regular basis. Okay. I want you to begin, if you want to take this seriously, I want you to begin to study yourself. And this is what I mean. Okay. I want you to start journaling. I want you to start journaling. Okay. Every evening at the end of the day, I want you to break out your journal and I want you to write 2 things in this journal. I want you to write down, what did you do well? What did you do well? And where could you improve? Now, listen, when it comes to where could you improve, this is not beat the hell out of yourself before you go to bed time. No, this is giving yourself a simple critique on where you could have improved so you do better the next day. As you start to study yourself and you have a clear, defined intention for what you want to do, believe me when I tell you, you will get to the point where you start to set a qualified listing appointment a day. But what I don't want you thinking about is I don't want you getting in your head and saying, oh my God, look how much business I'm doing. Oh gosh, this is getting overwhelming. Don't go there. Don't go there. Take it a step at a time, a day at a time. Hey, this is all the more reason for those of you that aren't in coaching. Why not? You should be. I've coached hundreds and hundreds of people to this level of production, and so has Steve. Good night. We can coach you guys to this level. It's not that hard. But if we can tell you what to look for and what to anticipate, like David, look at me, David G. Look at me. I'm looking at you. When you start to tell me, Gordon, things are starting to spin out of control, I'm going to tell you, David, it's okay. It's all right. That's what growth feels like. Now control your thoughts and quit dramatizing, because what you're doing is you're taking little things and turning them into big things. Why? To rationalize and justify why it's okay to slow down. And I'm going to look you in the eye and I'm going to tell you, quit it. Stop doing that. All you're trying to do is sabotage yourself. Let the growth happen. Let it come. Because guess what, guys? When we're doing 100 deals a year and you're making $1 million or more, many of you, it's way more than that. You've got the money to afford help. Okay, now we're gonna build a team of rock stars around you. Because look, just imagine on the screen right now, I've got 2 guys. I got this guy over here doing 100 transactions and this guy over here doing 20 transactions. All right, this guy doing 20 is working harder, is doing more, has got more responsibilities on their plate than the guy over here doing 100. Why? Because the guy doing 100 has learned to delegate the things that they don't have to do to competent staff. When I was averaging 150 transactions a year, I did not present my own offers. My assistant did that. I did not go to closings. My assistant did that. Now I can already read some of your minds. Well, Gordon, that's not very good customer service. Don't you value good customer service? Of course I value good customer service. I gave great customer service and I got a lot of referrals as a result. But let me just tell you something really quickly about customer service. There's 2 ways to approach customer service. Hear me very clearly on this. There's 2 ways. Option number 1, identify what your client's expectations are and then meet or exceed them. That's one way. That's not the way that I recommend. Because the other way to do it is to let your clients know what they can expect. Create their expectations and then meet or exceed them. I like to stay, when I travel, I stay at Marriott hotels quite often. And I have yet to show up to Bill Marriott shaking my hand and saying, welcome to my hotel. But I don't have the expectation. I think he's actually dead, so that would be weird. But I don't have the expectation that he's going to be there shaking my hand when I walk in the door. See, if your client expects you to do everything for them and then you have an assistant do it, they're disappointed. But when they understand that an assistant's going to be handling these activities as an extension of your customer service, now they feel important and they feel valued. See, you have to create the expectation for your client, then meet or exceed that expectation. That's what people doing 100 transactions a year do. So when the assistant calls and says, hey, so-and-so, we got an offer on your home, here it is, da, 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 and they take care of it, and they get it signed, they get it done, I'm going to tell you the truth. In any given month, I could not tell you how many homes I sold. I couldn't tell you. My assistant could, but I couldn't tell you. Why? I want to say because I didn't care. I did, but it wasn't important. Why wasn't it important? Because what was important to me is how many listings I took, period. I was a listing focused machine. I averaged taking 18 listings a month. That was my average. Every month I averaged 18 listings a month. I was focused on taking the listings because I knew that the listing was the catalyst. If I took the listings, I had control of the buyers. If I took the listings, all the other salespeople in my marketplace became my salespeople. While I'm off enjoying my weekend, while I'm going down to Dallas and watching my Dallas Cowboys thump whoever they're playing that weekend, because I got season tickets at the Cowboys. While I'm at the Oklahoma City Thunder watching them beat the Denver Nuggets, because I have season tickets at the Thunder. Somebody else is selling my listings. And then I'll show up on Monday morning and my assistant will say, hey, you had a great weekend. You sold 5 houses. Cool. How many listing appointments have I got lined up for today? Focus on the listings. Everything else will take care of itself. So the guy doing 100 is doing fewer activities, but he's a specialist. So I would prospect. I would do my lead follow-up. I would make listing presentations. And that's pretty much it. Personally, I didn't really chase buyers around. I had somebody else do the buyers for me. My life was simple. It was simple. Last point I want to make. And then listen, guys, if you want more help, you guys know how to reach out to me. Gordon at watsonpowers.com. If you want to learn how to do 100 deals and you're not being coached, I would like to apply for the job. I'll teach you how to do 100 deals. I will make you far, far more than I cost you. Far, far more. So reach out to me, Gordon at watsonpowers.com, or call me 405-210-6886, and I'll help you. All right, here's the hardest part right here. You ready? Starting over. Starting over every day, starting over every month. You come into the month of June and you're so pumped. You're so psyched, man. I am so determined. This is my month. I am going to attack. I'm going to kill it. I'm going to get 10 listings this month. I'm going to work my butt off. Whatever I am told to do, I am going to do. This is my month. And you get down to the end of the month and it's June 30th and you got your 10. Hallelujah. I got to. That was a tough month, man. Oh God. Woo-hoo. I did it. Well, guess what? Tomorrow's July 1st. You got to do it again. You got to do it again. So what am I telling you? I'm saying you've got to learn how to start over. And one of the things you've got to learn to manage to start over is you've got to learn to manage your emotions, and you have to create a routine. Going back to our first point, you have to create a routine that results in this kind of production. See, the routine, guys, that routine is what's going to lead you to it. Now you may have like if I want to get big and muscled up, I want to be a big bodybuilder, okay? Then what I'm going to do, Damien, here's what I'm going to do. This is my workout, because you work out every day. This is my workout. I'm going to get up, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the floor, and I'm going to do 10 push-ups every morning. That's it. I'm 10 push-ups every morning. And I'm going to boom. Yes or no? Nope. 10 push-ups isn't going to do it. It's going to take a lot more work than that. It's going to take a different routine. Now, is 10 good? Yeah, 10 compared to none's good. But 10's not going to get me to where I want to go. It's not the right routine. No, I'm going to get with a specialist. I'm going to get with the coach who's going to say, okay, what are your goals? Based upon your goals, this is the routine that you need to follow. You follow this routine, you stay accountable to me. You do what I tell you to do, and you're going to get the outcome. So it's not just enough to have a routine, it's to have the right routine. Those of you that are being coached are being taught what the right routine is. Now it's a matter of following that right routine and starting over day over day, week over week, month over month. Many of you have done the equivalent of 100 transactions in 1 month. But what happened to the next month and the month after that and the month after that? In my world, a year consists of 12 months. Can you put 12 months together? If you learn what Steve and Sydney and I are teaching you, yes, you can. 100 deals is easier. It's easier. Be coachable. So before I wrap up this call, I hope you've enjoyed the material I've shared with you. I hope you've learned something. Any questions? Anything I'll take a couple questions before we wrap up. Just unmute yourself.
Gordon,
Please.
did you do price reductions, or who did those for you?
Myself and my assistant, we share those, because that's a great question, Gonzalo. What I learned is the thing that I used to be the worst at was following up with my sellers. I was the worst at that because I was always prospecting for new listings. Then all of a sudden it dawned on me, I believe it was my coach actually that told me, prospect your existing clients for referrals. So what I started to do, Gonzalo, was I started to call my sellers, and they thought it was a customer service call. They thought it was a customer service call, when really what I was doing is I was calling them asking for referrals, because this was a typical call. So Gonzalo, role play, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Gonzalo, it's your realtor, Gordon Watson. How are you?
Doing very well. What's up, Gordon?
Hey, I just wanted to let you know I am still working hard every day to get your home sold for you. And I was wondering, who else do you know that's interested in buying or selling a home that could use my help?
I can't think of anyone now, but I will let you know.
Terrific. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And then if I needed a price reduction, I would bring it up on the call.
Good.
But my call was a prospecting call, because when Gonzalo's in the middle of selling his house, guess what he's talking about at work and with his friends and family? Most of the time, it's about the process of selling his home, which is then going to encourage the people he's talking to say, oh, you know what? We're thinking about moving too. And then I want that referral. So we would share it, Gonzalo, but it was all part of a prospecting routine for those existing clients. Great question.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Who else has a question?
I have a question, Gordon.
Yes, David.
Oh, you mentioned earlier that we should focus on a source of income, right? So should we like for instance, for me right now, I have listings on the market, so I'm just doing strictly just this that just sold. should I try to dibble in a little bit with like cancellations and expires, or just focus on the just this and just sold?
Yes, yes, you should look at that option. Who's coaching you right now?
I was with Steve. I'm not with Steve right now.
Okay, all right. Well, you need to be. All right. So what he would tell you, what I would tell you is, yeah, you need to look at the opportunity there. How many expireds are you getting? Are you willing to do it the right way? Because if you're not willing to be on the phones with the expireds at 7:30 in the morning, you're probably wasting your time. Okay. Secondly, how well do you know your script and what level of confidence do you have in delivering it? Thirdly, do you know the common objections you're going to get and how to overcome those objections? Okay. Because if you're going to do it, you need to do it right. Now, I've got, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time getting into this, but there's so many different methods out there that didn't used to exist. I've got a client that I'm coaching right now that is making $8.50 for every dollar that he is spending in Google pay-per-click. Okay. He's spending money to collect Google leads and he's following up on those Google leads. He's making 8.5 times a return on his money. Is that good or bad? That's good. Now, here's the thing. Can you make a living off of doing just listed, just sold calls? Yes, you can. Okay. But without coaching you and knowing more about you, I would tend to say you really need to think of other options as well. One guaranteed is your past clients and sphere. If you're not working them, thump yourself in the head. Okay. Because that's easy business. But there's other things that we would be looking. If I was coaching you, David, I would help you to explore your market and look for the opportunities. Because in most every case, there are opportunities in addition to just listed, just sold. Okay. The more you diversify, the better. We could maybe start a Google pay-per-click campaign and start to teach you how to follow up on those leads. Because those are people that are raising their hand and saying, hey, yes, I am interested in buying or selling a home. I'm interested. And then we follow up on those leads. So they're really warm follow-up. Great question. One more question. Anybody else? We good? All right. Appreciate you guys being here. If Steve, myself, Sydney can help you, reach out to us. Thanks to those of you that are Watson Powers clients or soon to be David Watson Powers clients.
I'll be
Thank you.
back. I'll be back.
Sounds good. Bye-bye.
Thank you.